By conscious breath here, we both mean taking a deep, slow breath, but also we mean being present for it, being present with the sensations, being present with each other in the moment. That's what makes it a conscious breath as opposed to just a deep breath. We're actually in the moment, feeling the breath together. Hello and welcome back to the Experience of We. I'm Naomi.
I'm Matthew.
And today,
Today.
we are coming back at you with another relational micro practice.
Oh, excellent. I love relational micro practices. What relational micro practice are we doing today? Oh, would you like me to say? Today we're doing something that we call one conscious breath. One conscious breath. And one conscious breath is something that we use, well, speaking for myself, it's something that I use in moments of disconnection. There are times that, so I interpret connection, the felt sense of connection, with something that is known as co-regulation. When we are regulating together, when we're both calm and settled.
When our nervous systems are aligned and in synchrony.
That's what I think of as being in connection. And there are times that I will dysregulate. I think a lot of people, sort of common phrase for dysregulating is triggering, when we trigger. And so there are times that I will trigger out of connection, out of a felt sense of co-regulation with Naomi or someone else I'm with. And in times like that, I can say, let's take one conscious breath together. Or sometimes Naomi, actually, will notice I'm dysregulating and say, hey, let's do one conscious breath. And we'll look at each other and go,
Yeah. And so by conscious breath here, we both mean taking a deep breath, a deep, slow breath, but also we mean being present for it, being present with the sensations, being present with each other in the moment. That's what makes it a conscious breath as opposed to just a deep breath. We're actually in the moment, feeling the breath together.
Yeah, keeping all of our focus and awareness on the breath itself. And that's an important part. I'm really glad you said that, because sometimes if I'm experiencing a moderate to strong trigger, Naomi may request a conscious breath, and I'll just do the deep breath, kind of just I'll do the action. I'll take the action, but I won't be present to it. I won't be present to it, and it won't help calm me or bring me back into connection. At which point Naomi will often say, let's do a few more of those.
And sometimes if we're having trouble staying present to that, I'll invoke chanting. But that's a whole other video.
That's a later micro practice.
Yeah.
For now, I will say that for me, I know Naomi has her own experience with this, but for me, when I have mild to moderate moments of dysregulation, of feeling a jolt or a start or something, I might just take one conscious breath with Naomi to settle my nerves, settle my nervous system, come back into connection, feel that sense of co-regulation again. And that's what I use it for.
Yeah, and to what Matthew said, I'll add that when we talk about using one conscious breath in a circumstance where one of us is dysregulating, the point of it is, yes, to come back into connection and co-regulation, but also to be able to actually process the feeling that's coming up. I wanted to say this because a lot of times in like wellness communities, doing practices like this to regulate our nervous systems can be done sort of instead of being like, what am I feeling? What is my mind saying? if I look underneath what my mind is saying, what is it pointing to at a deeper level? And that kind of relationship with what's coming up so that we can learn from the wisdom of our feelings. And it's far easier to learn from the wisdom of our feelings when we can be regulated in them together after we've had an emotional release. And so I wanted to add that to the sort of regulating during trigger part of this. And then to that, I wanted to add that I also really like taking one conscious breath together in situations that aren't dysregulation. I find, and Matthew and I live this a lot in our day-to-day life, I find that taking a conscious breath together is a great transition point when we're moving from one activity to another, whether it's from our workday to our physical practice, or when we're enjoying being in bed in the morning, but it's time to get up. Taking one deep breath to savor the moment before we part, or to sort of punctuate the moment and seal it, moving on. I also enjoy taking a conscious breath together. And I want to say this is something I don't just do with Matthew. There are other people in our life who we do this with. And it can also be great when natural pauses occur in conversation. This pause is sometimes known as the awkward silence.
Yep.
But we choose not to orient to it that way because the awkwardness is just, it's unknown. It's socially, there's a group consensus orientation to it. That is, something bad is happening right now.
Yeah.
And
it's just a moment of uncertainty.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just a shared moment of uncertainty. Nothing's going wrong. And so the awkwardness is that there's no transition point in a moment of uncertainty.
Exactly. And so in those moments, we find that this practice is also very helpful to be the transition, to be the place for the connection to flow when it's not flowing verbally. Because that's another thing about the pauses is they're like, we're in this flowy connection, and now how does our connection express? And so they're a great way to create a bridge of connection from one moment to the next and regulate our nervous systems if we are conditioned that the pause is to be feared.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about taking a conscious breath together.
I would say it can really feel good.
Man.
It can feel good to just like check in, look at you, and just be like, there's a sense of relief on the release of the breath. And so it gets to be this moment of just enjoying breathing together. And that can increase the quality of the connection in the moment, even if you don't need a transition, even if we're not triggered. And so, yeah, it can just feel good.
Yeah, isn't exhaling called nirvana?
I believe that Alan Watts once said nirvana was meant to release the breath.
Yeah, we'll have to double check Alan Watts here.
Yeah, I wanna double check.
Yeah, we might post something sourcing this. But yeah, it really does feel very sensually good. And during these videos, when Matthew is talking, I'm sitting over here taking conscious breaths. That's what I'm doing when Matthew's talking, regulating my nervous system and enjoying the sensation. One other thing I wanted to say about it is that the version where we make eye contact about it, to initiate it, I guess. And with Matthew, who I've done this with so much, and with a friend of ours, we don't need to say, hey, let's take one conscious breath together, unless we're in a trigger, unless we're in a certain kind of dysregulation. But we can just like make eye contact and there's a look and we both know and we just go into it together. And so that in and of itself reinforces the connection. Now, Matthew and I, as we were planning to make this video, we were talking about like examining the relationships in our life and thinking about which ones it would feel it would feel natural to introduce a conscious breath. And we realized that it can be very intimate to look into each other's eyes and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And so there are people in our life who we have that kind of intimacy with, we could introduce it, and other ones who maybe aren't comfortable with that level of intimacy yet. And we realize that there we'd need to introduce it as something to do like with soft focus or with our eyes closed or something like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to note, because as we make these videos about micro practices, one of the things that I'm really tracking is if I saw someone suggesting this on the internet, would it feel realistically feasible to me in any of my relationships? And so, yeah, in my experience, it always takes one establishing conversation at least, and then sort of adjustment to fit the different relationships. And we tend to implement these practices in our relationships as it comes alive. We let it be emergent and let our own emotional experience of it sort of point us in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend of 37 years that we're not yet at the point of intimacy to do the one conscious breath while making eye contact. Maybe I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's watching this video right now.
Yeah, he may very well may be. So
he might be. Let's try this micro practice together.
Yeah, we don't have to look into each other's eyes.
No, we can close our eyes and just. So you just saw a relational moment happen right here on the Experiencing Week.
Yeah. So with all of that said,
so I feel complete.
I feel complete too.
Great.
Well, we are really delighted to have your company for another relational micro practice, and we'll be back with more.
Bye for now.
Bye.